Uh, Hello, with me today I have Ryder Kinlay. She's the Australian author of the David Longbottom series and a former journalist and all-round powerhouse of a writer. Ryder, hello there.
Yeah, hi, g'day everyone. Yep.
Hey. So which genre do you write in and how do you define that genre?
Sorry, what was that question? Sorry, Ashley.
Which genre do you write in and how do you define that genre?
I write, it's very, very mixed what I write. It's horror. I mean, it's got extreme horror, it's got crime, it's got thriller, it's very mixed. So my first book was like sort of like a romance drama with like a bit of paranormal and a bit of splatterpunk and extreme put into it towards the end. And then David Longbottom series is like, he's the fan favorite and he's very much American Psycho, Patrick Bateman, but with an Australian twist.
Do you know, I would argue with that. I thought he was far superior to Patrick Bateman when I was reading. I've not been able to get through the American Psychos because they seem so much of an artifice the way they're written. But what you've done with David Longbottom is you've made him into a credible, believable, not particularly likable, but a believable human being.
I mean, David Longbottom, like he is actually, he's like, I imagined him from an ex-boyfriend. So David Longbottom is a real person, but I mean, my ex-boyfriend didn't kill people. But like I've like just twisted and turned my memories and made it evil because he was very charming. He was very rich. He not as rich as David Longbottom because no one can be as rich as David Longbottom because like David Longbottom's like fantastically rich, like but like he was that handsome, charming person. And we're talking about writing. I used an ex-boyfriend as a muse, really. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Yeah, I'm going to get back to David in a moment, but what's your writing schedule?
My writing schedule? Oh, Jesus. I hang on 1 second. I'm just going to light up a cigarette because us writers generally do smoke. Hang on one moment. My writing schedule is I've got a Longbottom proper series coming up. I've got To Goose, which is a completely new novel that is going to be released, and it's set in To Goose Galpa in Central America, which I actually traveled to. I went there when I was like 17. And then there's also Robbie, which is the sequel to Rehab, and that's very much a revenge. Robbie's going to get a little bit brutal, and I'm gonna like basically, yeah, like just kill a lot of people that hurt his mummy. So yeah, so there's that, and then I've also got 3 collaborations that people approached me about, and so I'm going to do one's a huge English name. His name starts with J, but we haven't written the story yet, and you would know him. So yeah, I've got a lot coming up this year. Yeah.
Well, I've heard a name dropping, but initial dropping, that's a new one on me there. So for all these writing projects, does this mean it's a 9-to-5 mentality that you have with getting words on the page, or do you write better on a morning or an evening, or do you fit parts in between doing other things?
Yeah, probably the last part. I mean, I don't write every day. I write when I want to write. And so I'm unlike a lot of writers. I tend to write when like I want to, and then I'm very, very fast in my writing. So I can drop out a novel in like two or 3 weeks, because I write fast, and then I've got a good editor. So like she edits my stuff, and so yeah, I write like a demon when I want to write, but then I take like a couple of months off sometimes.
Fascinating. And yeah, that's going to be really useful for my students to hear, because I know we keep giving out the advice, oh, you need to write every day. And yeah, to hear
I don't agree with Stephen King, where you have to write every day. You don't have to write every day, but it does help with your motivation. Like, I mean, even if you like just drop to like 100 words in text or in a message, that is still getting your brain juices working. And you know, like I write when I want to write. I don't write because I've been told to, because I'm self-published. Yeah. So I just write when I want to, and when it comes out, it comes out.
That freedom sounds, yeah, well, I know what that freedom's like. So which is most important to you when you're writing then? Is it plot or is it character?
Okay, so my surname is Kinlay, and that's 2 of my muses, which is Stephen King and Richard Lehman, like where I idolize both those horror authors. I try to write character development like Stephen King, and then I try to write fast and brutal like Richard Lehman. So those 2 are the inspirations for me.
That's brilliant. What's your favourite Lehman novel? Because I so rarely get to speak to somebody who appreciates him.
Oh, it's everyone. Everyone loves, and I am like, I'm actually good friends with his wife, Anne Lehman. I love Beast, the Beast series. Like, I fucking love it. Like, because like I was 15 years old when I read it. I'm like, this is shocking. Oh my God. Oh, what? But his face, his pace, his brutality was just amazing. And I love that. I love how Lehman takes out the guff and he just like fucking gets short and brutal. He gets really brutal in his books.
I think of mine, of the ones I've read of his, is it Funland, the one that's set in a seaside resort?
Oh yeah, I haven't actually read that, to be honest. But yeah, no, Full Night is one of his books, yeah.
And that one, because I live in a seaside resort as well, it just struck a chord with me, and I thought, yeah, he picked up on that with such accuracy. It was lovely to read. But also one of his short stories in Dreadful Tales. There's a story about
Dreadful Tales, like the first one. I haven't read all the short stories, but yeah, Dreadful, he wrote about a writer like having writer's block, like, you know, yeah. And like it was like I completely related to it, and like then like he was like twisting everything, every fucking trope of sorry I swear, but twisting every trope that you can imagine. And like I'm like going, I can completely relate to this. This guy is like he's got writer's block. And it was really honest. It was really raw. It was really real. And the twist at the end, and I'm not going to tell the twist because I want people to read it. It was like going, what? Like,
yeah. How the hell did I not see this coming? Yeah. It's in that same one. And it's a story about a woman who's got a fur coat, and it stayed with me for about a week afterwards. I'd read it and I was just sort of like still thinking about that. What a powerful, underrated writer. Thank you for reminding me about him. Yeah, I might get back to some more of his stuff very, very soon.
Richard Lehman is, to me, he's more than Stephen King. Like, I mean, I like Stephen King. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to have Joe. I want to have Joe Hill's babies. Joke. But like Richard Lehman is, he is the most powerful author that has actually resonated with me. Where I've just like gone, holy crap! Like Richard Lehman is, and that's why my pen name is Kinlay. It's King Lehman, Kinlay, and that's how I came up with my pen name.
Like it, like it. Next question is, what piece of writing advice would you give to anybody who's just starting out?
You need to read. I mean, that is something that everyone says, but you need to read books. You need to like not necessarily copy them because that's plagiarism, but like you need to like get inspired by other authors. I believe that talent is, I mean, I'm going to say something that's not very liked by the community, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. Fuck it. Sorry. And I'm really sorry. But like, I mean, still try your hardest and read lots of other books and read people, and then write what is true to you. Like, so, I mean, rehab to me, that happened to me. I mean, that was my alcoholism. That was my raw passion story. It was fictionalized, of course, but like it was my story about my alcoholism and about my love story with a real person. And, you know, and it's a bestseller. But it's like, and David Longbottom, I'm writing still again about someone I knew. If you're just starting out like I did, and I am, write about what you know. Write about what you know, and then get a great fucking editor, because editors always help. Like, they always help you. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, editors can editors make the world so much better, don't they? So yeah, write what you know. Fully agree with that. And read, yes. I think those are so underrated as pieces of advice. Who do you read for pleasure?
At the moment, if I'm taking aside indie stuff, I read the backlog of Richard Lehman because I haven't read all his books, so I read his stuff. I am really enjoying your book at the moment, but like I do take a long time to read stuff. So, but you know what I like about your stuff is like how you got in the mind of, like, I've only read like 100 pages, but like how you got in the mind of this like fucking like psychic freak, and you give details of what he's doing, like, you know, like where he's actually manufacturing, like in the audience of what he wants. And I'm like going, this is so fucking good. I love it. I love it.
Right, you just made my entire day, week, and year there for that. Thank you.
No, I mean, you can edit this out, but I was like going, oh yeah, I don't really want to read. But like I started reading, I'm like, oh, this is fucking good. Like, this is really good. Like, you know, and I wish I had a paperback of it, because like I'd enjoy it a lot more rather than on Kindle.
So much fun with Derek and Clive in that. And Derek, yeah, just because I watch some of these shows where you get psychics on, and it's just so transparent that they're, oh, and I'm hearing a name, and yeah, you just sort of like think, you lame piece of crap. I needed to.
Well, Stephen King did a similar thing where he did like a it was trope, but like where I can't remember what it's called, and you probably can tell it to me in a minute, but where he basically he writes this story about like a priest, like a fake priest.
Right.
And you're doing the same thing with that book that you just released, where it's like you're getting into the head, you're getting into it. And like, that's one of Stephen King's most underrated books, I believe.
Revivalist. Yeah, is it Revivalist, that one?
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Revival.
Have a look at that one.
And it was Stephen King's like basically up your ass fucking like it's like a priest pretending to be a priest, and then like he's like exorcising people, and he was just doing the whole exorcism like in a bit of fun. And it was like, that's one of his most underrated books. Actually that's one of my favorite books of Stephen King.
I'm gonna have to.
It was short, snappy, and it took out the guff. It was a good book.
Right, I'm gonna have to check that one out. Thank you. As anybody with ears who's listening will have noticed, you're Australian, and there's a definite friendly Australian dialect in your writing. Do you think it's important for writers to remain true to their own voice whilst writing?
That's a thing that I've played on. I mean, some people say that I'm successful, but I've found a great editor who keeps my voice, who, like, I'm basically, as you said in one of your reviews, an Australian whispering in your ear, like, you know, like, because I keep my vernacular, like I keep my my stories very Australian. And I think that's what a lot of people like about my stories when they read it.
Yeah, it's one of the things. It's like it's like reading Edgar Allan Poe, because when you read Edgar Allan Poe, you're not just getting sort of like the story delivered to you, but you're getting Poe's cadence and his tones and intonation, and that's what we get when we're reading one of your stories. We get your cadence, we get your tone, we get all of the dialectal things that make your voice distinct and you. And yeah, it's like having a friend read the story to us. It's one of the things that I really do appreciate. And yeah,
I mean, a few people have said that what they like about my stories is they like the dialogue. I mean, because I lived in England and I've gone over to America, and obviously I'm Australian, but like I keep the dialogue like very strong. And if you read Davey, you can tell he's an Australian twat. He's not fucking like, you know, Patrick Bateman. He's not fucking American. He doesn't want to be fucking Patrick Bateman. I mean, he's Davey Longbottom, and he's Australian and proud of it.
And yeah, it comes through, and I agree with what you're saying. Dialogue sells. This is why I find it kind of difficult to read Lovecraft sometimes, because although he's very, very good at his world building and very good with his imagination, his dialogue is unreadable at times. Yeah, which
you know what? I'll be honest with you, Ashley, is that I've never read Lovecraft, and I honestly, I'm not interested. I mean, I know everyone like raves on about Lovecraft, and that's great, but I haven't read any of his books. I haven't read, like, I mean, I know who he is, of course, but I've not read Lovecraft, and I don't, like, I've got a too big a TBR pile to read before I read Lovecraft.
Yeah, I've got to admit, if I was sat down and there's sort of like a load of unread Richard Laymans there and anything by Lovecraft, in that case, I'm going through the Richard Laymans and quite a few others before I get there.
Oh, definitely. Please do, because Layman is brilliant. Like his books are brutal. They don't have any guff. They're brutal, and like I love Layman. Like I
fully agree.
I know Kelly and Anne, and they are so nice to me. I mean, the whole Layman wrote brutal shit. He wrote the first kind of erotic horror where like he kind of like put his finger into it. talking about tits and asses and fucking like and like he even like put in bestialia. Like it was like kind of like what are you fucking like writing? But he was the gentleman of horror. He was like the absolute, in real life, he was the absolute real gentleman of horror. Like, and that's what I love the most about Layman is that what a lot of people don't realize is that authors are human, and we don't write horror because we're bad people. We write horror because we write fiction.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I was just going to say with Richard Layman, one of the things I'd always thought with his writing is that there is no one at all who's managed to capture the feelings of teenage angst where something feels, desirable, for want of a better word, and also horrific at the same time. And yeah,
have you read Island of his?
Yes.
I mean, that's totally like, you know. And then also the other one is I have to go into my library in a minute to like go get it, but traveling vampires, it's all about teenage angst and it's all about rape. But he wrote this like 20, 30 years ago, before anyone wrote about that, you know. Like it was actually quite shocking what he wrote, like, for the time. And I mean, it was he is absolutely my idol. Like I love Richard Layman. I mean, I really do need to read his backlog because I've got like about 20 of his paperbacks, but like I've read about 5 of them. So Traveling Vampire Show, that's it. Sorry.
It's absolutely brilliant. And the one where no, we're going to end up just sort of like in a love fest about Richard Layman here. And my next question is going to be, David Longbottom is a horrible person. Why do you enjoy writing about a horrible person? And why do you think people enjoy reading about a horrible person?
Well, answering your second question is that he's the man that he's Ted Bundy. Like he's the twat you fucking like love to hate. Like, you know, like he's rich, handsome, good looking, but like he's a sadist. He doesn't like anyone except for his mum. His only person that he likes is his mum. Like, and he's in love with her. And there's that Oedipal side of Longbottom. But why do I write about horrible people, and what do I like about writing about horrible people is that I guess that I get inspired by real things, and you know, it's kind of cathartic to write about what you know.
I'm with you on that. And I just realized once I asked it that I also write about horrible people. And if somebody had asked me that question I just asked you, I would be there thinking, I've got no idea. I just, so thank you. Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, cathartic. And also because I think he's got a story that's well worth telling.
Well, the reason why people like Longbottom, and he is a bestseller in the UK. He's still in the top 100 in the UK, and he's been released now for like 2-3 weeks. So he's doing what he wants to do, which is world domination. Good on him. You know, he keeps me up at night, like going, well, I want to write the next story, and I'm like going, no, I'm going to fucking kill you. Like, I'm going to kill you. He's going, no, I'm going to have a dark half with you. I'm going to like do a Stephen King with a dark half, like write a fucking like a great story. But I mean, people love to hate people if they're charming, if they're good looking, if they're like, you know, and I got on to that trope, but like I put a special twist to it. So yeah, Longbottom, he's going to be a giant, but like he needs to stop fucking backstrapping me and fucking like keeping me up at night. Because he keeps on telling me, oh, I've got more stories to tell. I'm like going, really? I've got other things that I need to do. And yeah, so I mean, I love Longbottom because he's made me more well known. I mean, Summer and Rehab is more personal, but Longbottom is what I'm known for. Yeah.
Right, so you're a former journalist. Do you think that writing for the media has helped you hone your skills so you know how to convey a story?
Yes. Okay. I can write clean prose pretty quickly. So that's what's helped me as a journalist. I think clean prose and being able to write to a deadline and being able to write quickly helps. Like I said before, I write when I want to write, but having that journalism aspect to me has made me write really quickly when I need to, and when I just want to drop something out there, I write it fast, and then I've got a good editor. As I keep on saying, like, and my editor like helps my thing, and that's one of what your creative students need to remember is that even a good writer needs an editor. Like, they need an editor, because if, like, I mean, I don't have typos per se, but like I still have problems in my stories that my editor picks up.
Yeah, it's they are incredibly useful for that. And yeah, I don't think, I mean, we all try and write a novel or a story on our own, but we do need that feedback from somebody somewhere, just so that we know that the story is being properly conveyed, I think. Yeah, I completely get that.
So my biggest advice to your students is, if you got a story, write it, but write from the heart. Don't worry about the grammatical mistakes in your first draft. Like, don't worry about it at that stage. I mean, like, I'll give you something really honest here, Ashley, is that I as a journalist, with my journalistic experience, with my books, I slave over the first chapter. Like, I write, I rewrite, it's the hook. It's getting you in there. Like, and I can sometimes like slave over 2 weeks, like just writing the first chapter. But then the rest I just write. And then the editor really only edits that stuff, because I've just, you know, typed that down. So I really slave over the hook, like that. Answering your last question about being a journalist, it's the hook, because I don't know if you were a former journalist, but like, they say that if you haven't got the reader in the first 3 pages, you've lost them. And I've always done that. Like, it's the first chapter that I slave over.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I stress in lessons repeatedly, that and I think it was Philip Marlowe who actually said, it's the first sentence that sells the book, and it's the last sentence that sells the next one. And yeah, those two as a sandwich for the fiction. I mean, what's in the middle has got to be good, obviously. I'm not saying it can be a pile of garbage that's in the middle, but yeah, that first part needs to hook people in.
And that's what I've done with like David, and also with Rehab. But like with David's first chapter of each of his short stories, it's hooked you in. It's like gone, like, Oh, okay. And then the middle might be a bit guff, and then the ending will be like a hooker for the next story. Like it'll be like going, oh well, like you want more about me. Like, and with Rehab, it was, the beginning was very, very it was very like, this is so unique, this is very Australian, this is like, oh, like, and this is, but, and then the middle was guff, like there was a lot of guff in the middle,
Right.
but, and then the ending was like, what the fuck, like what's Robbie gonna do now? And it's leading to a sequel, if you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, yeah. I mean, I'd argue when you're saying it's guff in the middle, I would, yeah, it's not guff in the middle. It's, yeah, it's compelling. We're learning story, we're getting development. So yeah, I'm going to argue with your use of the word guff, but that's possibly because maybe it means something slightly different in Australia than it does.
No, here. I mean, Rehab. I mean, the middle scene, without giving too much way to your creative writer students, the middle scene was brutal. It was like, it was all about her rape and her murder.
Yeah.
And that's not really giving away anything. I mean, in the middle scene, someone gets raped and murdered, and you like go, what the fuck? Like, and it's really explicit. It's very explicit. Like, I mean, I could do an author reading for you, but like, I don't think you've got time for that. And so, I mean, it could be, I mean, but like, whereas, because David Longbottom series is short, like those short stories, I can be a lot more brutal, a lot faster. I can just like go, yeah. And I mean, I'm loving writing short stories. I don't know when I can write a full novel at the moment, just because I just like the art of short stories. Like, it's very quick, it's very brutal, and you can kind of plot it out in your head. You don't have to like write it down. And yeah, so I like writing. I love writing Longbottom. I mean, I love them, and I'm writing a 4 novelette series for him because he told me that I have to.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to reading more of him. My final question is, what are you currently working on, and where can we find more of your work?
So I've got a four novelette series of Longbottom coming. I've got To Goose as a novel, and I've got Robbie, which is the sequel to Rehab, and then I'm thinking I'm going to quit, like, because those are the only stories that I'm thinking of quitting, but who knows? I'm Ryder fucking Kinlay, like, you know, so I might still pump out a story every now and then, but like, yeah, but those are the main ones that I
It would be, yeah, it would be a great loss if we lost you from the writing community. But yeah, Ryder, thank you so much. Yeah, those insights are going to be incredibly useful for everybody who's watching this, and yeah, I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you.